Hello, greetings, and welcome to another roundtable panel on the cause for equality, women spearheading the world of technology. From the previous fireside chat, which I'm thankful for, I think that was just a foundation to what we're about to discuss right now. And if you allow me, I'd love to share some few statistics because I feel this topic is very, very sensitive and we have to demystify something here. According to Statista, women make up 33% of the tech-related workforce. Black women CEOs are paid 38% less than white male CEOs. Another one, 50% of women in tech leave their job before the age of 35. The list goes on, but we're here to talk about that. I am not alone. I have a roster of wonderful panelists who are going to tell us about this cause for equality. What are we going to do about it? What is the way forward? Panelists, I ask you to introduce yourself and kindly brief. I will start with you, Rebecca, and then we will pass it on all the way up to Key. Rebecca, you're welcome.
Amazing. Thanks, Lynn. My name's Rebecca, and I've been working in technology for 5 years now in the immersive technology space, and really happy to be joining this panel today to discuss with everybody about what we can do to make it a safer and more engaging space for women who want to get involved in tech.
We're happy to have you. Thank you. Erila, kindly help me pronounce your name too. Your mic is muted. Can you unmute? Okay, as Erila figures that out, Delia, over to you. Your mic kindly.
Because somebody muted me, so I didn't know how to do that. Thank you very much. First of all, congratulations on this impeccable organization. I've been so impressed seeing all these panels and gathering here such a great pool of bright women. This is Erila. I am an innovation management expert. I am the Chief Operation Officer of a big certifying body, Global Innovation Management Institute, headquartered in Massachusetts, US. And I am a big supporter of women, very sensitive on gender equity. My whole team is made of women mostly. And I am undertaking right now an initiative of building a network of women on innovation with the main intention to make them more visible and to support each other when it comes to opportunities in this domain. Thank you.
Well, impressive. We want to hear more from you about that. Delia, over to you. Unmute kindly. Kindly unmute. Your mic is muted. We can't hear
yes.
you. Yes.
Delia Perla. I come from about 20 years of being in some form of tech throughout the last 2 decades. Currently, I'm an SVP for a metaverse company called BizTech. We work with immersive spaces, smart spaces with digital twins. And I'm committed to creating and fostering a network of women and women of color who can find themselves in roles that they traditionally have not found themselves in at later stages of their lives as well.
Well, you're welcome. Elizabeth, over to you. Nice to see you again.
Hello, my name is Elizabeth Aguado. I am based all the way in Lima, Peru, and I'm also an e-resident from Estonia, and I started the Ignite Lab project last year. My focus is on AI ethics and responsible AI. So happy to meet you all.
Happy to meet you too. Dr. Kiana.
Well, hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Kiana Bradshaw. I have been
dealing with technology since I was a kid, and I am an AI data science professor. I also do a lot of research in virtual worlds and try to help girls that code and even Black girls code. I've been doing that for like 15 years now. So I really want to help others and get out there, especially females, because we need more females in computer science.
Well, I agree. You're going to tell us more about that. Key Jones, nice to have you back.
Yes, greetings everyone. My name is Key. I am the CEO of Black Girl AI, and I'm all about women. I'm also the founder of Reset, which is a company that helps women overcome and defeat trauma. So, women, I love y'all.
We love you too.
Thank you.
Noe Brooks, I hope I pronounced that right, but correct me if I'm wrong.
You're right, Lynn. It is Noe Brooks. It's a pleasure to be a part of this roundtable. I am a core team member of Disruptor DAO. We're a collective of investors, entrepreneurs, educators, business owners, innovators in the tech space that have come together to disrupt the wealth gap. We do this on three primary pillars: knowledge, that's us learning and expanding the knowledge of our membership in this space; investment in disruptive technology; and developing an abundant mindset. Personally, I'm a digital artist. I have created a series of coloring books called the Meditative Men Collection. It is not for men. It is a series of books that have AI images of Black men that are used as a space for fostering mindfulness and peace and getting in touch with your creativity. I'm also a builder of GPTs for individuals and businesses to help them realize their goals. And again, I'm thrilled to be part of this discussion and looking forward to it.
Well, thank you for being here. Shout out to Disruptor DAO. You have been with us since day one. Shout out to all of you. Over to you, Malik. Correct me if I'm wrong.
That's correct. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. You can call me Mel. It's a bit hard to pronounce sometimes. So I'm a technical product owner. I'm working in the industry for about like 5 years in blockchain, DeFi, and decentralized applications. I'm also working on zero knowledge development in a couple of companies, and also I'm a member of her DAO. I'm a global steward that aims women to attend more hackathons and spread technological news. And pleasure to be here. Thank you.
We're happy to have you here too. Now, this is me, Linkitao, Communications Director for GatherVerse, and I will be your moderator for this panel. Shall we begin, ladies? All right. So I will also kindly ask you to mute your mics unless you're speaking so that there cannot be feedback. To get started, and I want anyone to jump in on this. What is the current state of gender equality in the technology sector? And where are the most significant gaps? Who would like to go in first? Okay, Noe Brooks, tell us what you think.
So, one of the things that I've noticed is that we've made strides in representation, but the technology sector often focuses on meeting diversity quotas rather than fostering environments where women can thrive. The gaps are most apparent in leadership and decision-making roles, where women still are underrepresented. So it's not just about having women in the room anymore, and we talk a lot about seeing ourselves in the room, but it's about ensuring that our voices are valued and that they're shaping the industry. And one thing I am noticing more myself is that having a woman there, we need to support her. Women need community because being in the room can be a battlefield. And having the support and the fortitude when you are in the room helps you be centered in who you are and what you bring to the table, knowing that you have a powerful community behind you and that you are not alone, even if you are the only person who's there.
I totally agree. Feeling like you're not alone in this and having that sense of backup, I think that's a very, very big pillar. Dr. Kuyana, I see you agreeing to this. I feel like you have something to add to that. Please go.
Yes, absolutely. Because when I looked at some of the statistics, it was like 1% or 0.5%, even at some of the big tech companies. And that's ridiculous for women. So we need more women. I go to tech shows. I'm one of two that are there, especially women of color. I'm the only one there. So that is something that really needs to change. And they're always saying, well, every time when I used to apply to tech companies, we don't have anything in marketing for you. They are not even looking at my technical skills. So they're not even trying to recruit Black women into these type of roles. And that's really worrisome for me because I try to help other minorities into it, and it's just not enough. It's not. It's really sad.
I can share something too.
Okay.
Can you hear me well?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay. So, yeah, past October, I was taking a course with the Embassy of Canada in Chile about gender and cybersecurity. And so there were cases I can point out some examples like they thought that because they were giving courses and maybe the assistant was part of it, then that's it. Well, we are helping women, right? But that's not what it is about. And also when some of them would speak to their supervisors, the chiefs, C-suite, and they were like, "But why are you talking about there is no underrepresentation? You are here," and that's kind of. I'm not saying that's gaslighting women, but definitely, like one of our colleagues said, that the decision making process still just formed by a group of men, and that is also an issue.
Well, thank you for adding that. I want to jump into the next question because I feel it also relates to this, and I want to bring you, Rebecca. How has the presence of women in technology evolved over the past decade, and what progress still needs to be made? And anyone can jump in on this too. Rebecca.
Yeah, thank you. So it's actually interesting. Before this panel, I was doing some reading, and it actually looks like the amount of women in the tech space has dropped over the last decade through some research, especially in the kind of director level positions and women in leadership. So actually going back to what the rest of the ladies have been saying about representation of women in leadership, and I think it's really interesting and probably symptomatic of the way that women have been portrayed in the media. I think that has a huge part to play in it. Growing up, watching TV, watching movies, and not seeing women represented in these roles, and on social media, not seeing women represented. And I think that there's a huge amount of progress to be made, and then we are seeing it. We're seeing movies and shows and amazing kind of social media tracks with Instagram and TikTok and ladies in STEM and people who are putting themselves out there and representing themselves and being not afraid to share that knowledge and open to kind of discussing with each other. But I think there's a huge part that our community has to play in kind of being visible and being seen as women in tech.
Definitely, I agree. I have been in the media space, and I agree on the fact that how women are portrayed in the media space, especially from the community I came in from, I never saw women being portrayed as innovators or technologists or coders. What I've seen women is doing the supporting roles that we're used to, that our parents were used to, or our great grandparents were used to. And I feel like it's a collective responsibility for the community. It's not only in the tech industry, but also us as a community. And maybe I want to bring in Delia on this, or whoever wants to chime in on this.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to add, and I agree with everything that's been stated, is that even though we can acknowledge that there's been in the last 10 years, just from an education standpoint, there's more women in STEM today than there was 10 years ago, but it doesn't compensate for all the other holes that we still have. I think that the gaps that I see currently is just closing kind of the tech role gap of actually getting women into those roles, which is what Dr. Kwan said. She said, getting actually people into, I just got back from CES in Las Vegas, the technology conference, and it's still it's still, even though there's more today than there was 10 years ago at CES, there still are functioning roles that are not being attained by women who even go through STEM education. I think another gap is addressing the pay disparity. There are still, by a large percentage, women are still being paid less. Women of color even less than that for the same exact roles, same education. And then the last one I would say is just combating the systemic bias that still exists and improving representation in leadership positions. I think those are probably the bigger ones that I see in technology for women, is that even though you might have a role, or even though you might have the education, or maybe you come in for a supported role and then you elevate yourself into a tech role, there's still systemic bias for women today in tech companies. I think there's a lot of growth in the last 10 years, but I think that we have a ways to go in building cultures that promote and hire women in in those roles.
I thank you because you've highlighted the how far we have come. And no, I see you raising your hands. Perhaps you can add something to that.
Yeah, I want to add to what Delia said. So barriers like unconscious bias and lack of mentorship, and especially in exclusionary culture, persist a lot, especially in the tech space. So women are often penalized for leadership styles that deviate from traditional male-dominated norms. And we can address this by creating mentorship networks, equitable policies, and leadership training that values emotional intelligence and inclusivity. I think us being, again, in the space matters, but we literally have to change the space to fit us and stop trying to fit in a space that is not made and will not change to accommodate us. We have to really flush out that space and make it hospitable.
Thank you. You've even highlighted the previous question on systemic bias, which I felt like we should just move on to the next question. And this goes to you, Key Jones. And how can we inspire young women, especially in underserved areas, to pursue STEM careers? Malika, you can join in, or Erila. But first, Key Jones, we want to hear from you.
Yes, I like that because it refers back to what we do at Black Girl AI. And first and foremost, how we can do that is just by showing up, letting, young girls see people like them, let them know that they can pursue careers in STEM, basically in technology across the board. They can do whatever they put their mind to. And what makes it better is, again, when they see representation of themselves. And they'd be like, okay, if Miss Key could do it and everybody else could do it, then I can do it too. So pretty much just seeing representation. And that's how we can inspire the young girls and other women to pursue careers in STEM.
Yeah, and just to add to what you have said, I encourage even the younger audience that are watching us, as
Absolutely.
these women can do it, you can do it too, or any of your relatives. If these women here can do it, you can do it too. Malika, I want to
Yes.
hear your thoughts on this.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree with Kay. There are some programs like blockchain for social impact, like Hurdle, one of the team member that I've been. We are also targeting that the females underrepresented communities, including women, to participate in real world blockchain projects to have some social impact. So these initiatives not only show young women the potential of blockchain to drive social change, but also provide a platform for them to engage with technology and in an early age. So collaborating each other and showing up is a quite important part, I guess so.
Yeah, and bringing them on in an early age, just like the previous panel had stated. Arila, please bring your thoughts on this too.
Yeah, I think we have explored this topic a lot while we do these panels and speeches. And the issue is how come that women, for example, outperform, or let's say girls outperform boys when they are in the early ages, basically, when it comes to math and science. But by age 16, boys already are 33% more likely to pursue STEM compared to women. And there are many factors out there. It's like, of course, the stereotypes. It seems that parents as well, on the other hand, are more likely to recommend to boys basically to pursue STEM compared to women. And all these are data, basically. I think I've seen something when it comes to women, and I saw this also in these panels. There is a tendency to women jumping into a social impact type of work at a certain age, and you see also this from the data. For example, you mentioned yourself, like 50% leave the job, the tech, because it's male dominated, because they experience burnout, because it's a toxic environment, and because they experience all that and they see all the discrimination. I think there is a reason why we have more women in social impact rather than men. And I think they want to, in a way, try to save themselves, right? And to do something about this. So I think, how can we inspire? It's all about early exposure. It's all about educating parents. It's all about having moral models. It's all about visibility. And I would say this for everything: visibility of women doing such great things. It's so difficult for me. We have a forum, for example, we invite experts on innovation to talk about. It's so difficult for me sometimes to find women. I feel ashamed because women don't put themselves out there that much, unfortunately, because of the confidence levels. The imposter syndrome is so, I think, high at women. And I think we need to work on this at early ages.
I totally agree with that. And what you're just saying is like a top up to what has been said, not only on this panel, but even the previous panel, the need for confidence, the need for us women to put ourselves there. And as much as we have these conversations, the more we have these conversations, the more we enlighten each other, and the more we have that courage to go out there. Elizabeth, I want to bring you on this. How can we guarantee women equal access to opportunities and influence decisions in emerging tech fields such as AI and blockchain?
I think it's important to have good connections with the public and private sector to ensure, like, if we're talking about education, or as Erla was mentioning, like talking to the parents, if we're talking about young women. And at the same time, I think the more we step in, I mean, the more we have skin in the game, even though it's going to take time, um, VCs will also acknowledge more of what we can bring to the table. I don't think we can have a way to guarantee, because the space in itself is risky for everyone. So you also have to take it with with some patience, but definitely to give equal access, you need help from both, from um, your community and also from governmental organizations, and it's like teamwork, right?
Yeah.
That's what I can share.
Okay. But before I come to you, I think Malika is in blockchain. I want your input in this because I've seen your work in blockchain. Perhaps you can add something to this, and then Noe, you can come in.
Yep, of course. As heard now, some of protocols are sponsoring us for support women and encourage them to attend some hackathons like EAT Global Hackathons, which are the biggest blockchain hackathons that are held in every year. So that's a great opportunity for women to attend, show up, represent, contribute, and so on. I think these kind of companies sponsorships are quite important for just like Seller and Algorand. They are also actively working to reduce gender equation, and they are focused on female developers, researchers, and entrepreneurs as well. So I definitely believe that supporting women has a key role on like um, contributing on grant programs just to encourage them to show up. It can be a playground for them to hack, contribute, so that they can have an experience and then they can enhance their networking opportunities and so on.
Yeah, thank you for highlighting that financial support in terms of grants. I know you wanted to add something. Please do.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that this is an area where we really need allies in power who actively advocate for women's inclusion and participation in decision-making processes. Yeah, we need people there for us, supporting us, getting into the room and stopping gatekeeping.
Yeah, very true, very true. Rebecca, I want to add you to this next questions. What can schools, communities, and companies do to build a pipeline of women's talent in technology? I know you are in XR, and I know there's a story there, and there's something there. Maybe you can tell us how we can achieve this.
It's a really good question, and I think at the school level, visibility, education, bringing women in to the conversation, getting them to do presentations to the kids, showing them videos, showing them powerful stories of women leaders, people who have been involved in technology, and also explaining their backgrounds and where they've come from and how they've managed to break into tech is quite important. And actually, my background was I was actually a nightclub manager before I got into technology. My background, originally was in film, and I was really struggling in the industry and just finding it really difficult to, the people were quite tough to work with on a level. I didn't feel very confident. I was very full of imposter syndrome and was, I was like, gotta go. And then my interview at the company I work for was, we had a female director who, I didn't know much about the tech at the time, but I was really enthusiastic and I really wanted to do it. And she just cheerleaded. She cheerled the whole thing. She was giving me advice, information. She was really supportive, and she was like, you need to look into things like this, and this is where you should start, and these are the kinds of people you should talk to. And it's part of that community and fostering those connections. And like everyone else here has said today, the network is probably one of the most valuable things I think women have in their toolbox when it comes to equality in the tech space, and also just developing those opportunities and developing women and building them up, And when I see young girls and when they come, I do the trade shows and they'll come to the booth and stuff, I'm there and I'm going, you guys can do this. This is a fun job. It's totally awesome. It's really interesting. I never have a dull moment, and this is something that you can do. And I think it's so important to bring people into those conversations and just openly share that advice. And like you all said, not gatekeeping.
Exactly. And just to take this opportunity to acknowledge the GatherVerse community and the women who just showed up at S.H.E Summit, amazing women like you. I think this is a very good opportunity to do what just Rebecca has highlighted, connecting and holding each other's hands. Dr. Quiana, you've been in this industry for such a long time. Do you have something to add on this?
Yes, I would encourage to mentor as well as pulling people in, because usually when you have others trying to apply, they're getting a dorm slammed on their face. So I always try to mentor them, pull them in, offer some advice, how I got in, see on what they could bring to the table, and also help them, because there's a lot of gatekeeping. And then, it's really sad that women like, oh, we don't think you're ready for this kind of leadership position. That's immediately because tech is really 55% male. So
Mhm.
we have to get that streamlined and get more women in, because that's just, we got the deck stacked up against us all at once. But we really need to, I always try to make it a point to pull someone in and help and mentor them, and not just close the door in their face when they've been trying so hard. So we really do need more women to advocate for others. And the gatekeeping, it's still happening today, but we still need to just pull people in and not really sitting there and thinking about, well, no, give people a chance. Everything is teachable.
Everything is teachable. I agree. Everything is teachable. Kate, I want to come to you on this. How does increasing diversity in technology teams lead to better innovation, problem solving for society at large? And anyone who wants to chime in, you're open to do so.
I know I might sound a little biased when I answer this question, but diversity is very important, especially when it comes to us women, because we're creative. We're just creative and we can bring a lot to the table. We won't always get that pat on the shoulder telling us, "Oh, good job, good job." But we know we're smart. We're extra smart, and we bring a lot to the table. So we solve a lot of problems. Our help is very much needed. Again, it won't always be verbally said to us, but our help is very much needed. So again, increasing diversity in technology is very, very important, because everyone has a skill set to bring to the table. Everyone.
I agree. Ariella, please go.
This is a topic that is very dear to my heart, because when we teach on innovation, we say to innovate, you need more dots. And basically, how you get more dots? You get more dots by involving different ethnicities, different backgrounds, and of course, diverse genders, right? So I think this goes without a question that women are half of the global population. Women, according to statistics, women decide for 90% of the major purchasings are decided by women. Where to send the kids for college, which house to buy, and all this. If you don't have basically women in the design process, if you are underestimating their needs, basically, then it's a miss even for the market. And what has happened basically is, in some traditional industries, NASA, for example, and all this, the way how they design the uniforms, for example, they design the uniforms for men. And when basically the first astronaut did that, she was not able to fit in the uniform. That happened with firefighters, that happened with policemen and all this. So the tradition has been like that. And usually what has happened, since men design for women, what they do usually, we say they either shrink it or pink it, because they are not taking into consideration women needs basically in the design. So I think in particular, you had in the previous panel healthcare, right? And that was very important, because what we see also in healthcare is such not, I would say, developed when it comes to either diagnostic tools for women, take it pap test or mammograms. They are maybe functionable, but they are not experiential. They hurt a lot. And I don't know if you can use mammograms, for example, for men, like to do testicular scanning. Would they bear that? So I always say there are many things that are happening, but if you are not, if you don't have women on the table when you are designing different products, either if those products are for women or for the entire population, that's a big miss.
It's a very big miss. I mean, if women are the most consumers, then why don't women design themselves? It's a very, very important aspect that you brought out that here there. Thank you. Elizabeth, I'm coming to you. What long-term changes are needed in technology companies to create environments where women can thrive at every level and they live? Yeah, please, you may join this conversation as well. And forgive me for butchering your name.
Yeah, so I think I also was talking about this with the ambassador as I finished the course I mentioned previously, that we need to evaluate all the policies and initiatives we're taking to make a difference. We need to evaluate how they're working, and not just um, just thinking, okay, we're doing excellent because we started. For example, if you are giving grants, well, how is that impacting? Like, not don't leave it just as something that was a project and you got started, but have someone monitoring and getting feedback from the women that are being part of this. And if we can learn also, I wanted to comment on the last question before this question, and if we can learn from the mistakes that were made maybe in science and healthcare with women, and also, takes some of that to technology, how okay, I guess I'm having some technical problems, so I'm gonna give it to someone else.
Okay, we understand, and thank you for sharing that. I wanted to bring Delia on this. Kindly go.
Yeah, I wanted to add this. I think it's a pipeline issue. I think that when you look at long term, what changes can tech make? In the Bay Area right now, in California, there's a huge initiative to take out DEI, and many companies now are moving towards eliminating it completely. And so there's no longer, at least from my mind, maybe a dependence on that at all. And so I still think that it's a pipeline issue, whether we call it DEI or not. And I think that pipeline needs to start with universities, collaborators like Dr. Bradshaw, who can create capstones with the tech community, giving women real life problems to solve and integrating that into the classroom. So I think that's one area. The other is community, where a lot of people have already mentioned the collaboration of women coming together. I'm involved in many women in tech networking. There's tons available for free that you can join at any time. So I think it is a pipeline issue because those communities of networking give women confidence to actually enter into dialogues with other women in those tech fields to see that it's a viable opportunity for them. So, and then the last one would be mentorship. And I still say that because even though we've all agreed on it, it's been saying all day long, I think that the mentorship is actually what changes women's minds about themselves. I think it's the mentorship of taking that, the way that they think, those focusing on all the reasons why they couldn't get that role or they can't do that tech job, and looking at the opportunity and flipping the switch and looking at it from an opportunistic opportunity to say, why can't you do it? All of the roles that I've had in tech where a man is leading, and I'm not saying that just for me, but for other women that I've worked with or that I know, many of those men are not as capable as some of the women that are in your environment. And many of those men get fired because they're not able to perform. And so women apply for those jobs to fill those roles and they don't get them, even though they are more competent to be able to do that. So I think there's the, the problem of that can't supersede the opportunity. We still have to keep trying. Tech needs to partner with universities and educational sources to create real life capstones so that women still have opportunities to do hand-on projects and practice. Women need to go out into their neighborhoods, into their communities, network those people that they don't know, get involved with those networking, get a mentor, reach out to people on LinkedIn. Women want to help women. If you ask a woman any day, anytime, I need 15 minutes of your time just to get your ideas, your point of views, your story of how you got to the role that you're in. People want to help. There's not one time that in my lifetime I've reached out to a woman, that woman has said, no, I don't want to help you succeed in your career. We want to help women. So I think those three things, when we look at long term, is really looking at what we're able to do and what we can do versus focusing on the areas that is not working. The more we focus on the problems, I feel like it actually embeds into our minds and feels like, okay, I'm not going to try because there's just way too many problems. So that's what I would say about long-term changes.
Yeah. That was very profound and very deep. Just to echo what you've said, women want to help women. Did we say they are gatekeepers? Yes, but I believe the bigger part of women want to help women. Noi Brooks, please tell us your experience. Do you agree? Tell us what you think.
I love everything that Delia said, especially the on-the-ground examples of what can be done. From my perspective, we've got to dismantle the culture. There is a culture of burnout and competition. I mean, I thought Web3 was going to be my savior until I got into Web3 and realized, oh, this is corporate on hyper drugs, because now you don't sleep. You have to keep up with the technology, and nobody even goes to bed on the weekends. So we have got to shift the culture. We are humans embracing technology that is supposed to be supporting us. We're not in competition with the technology. We are at the helm of it. The technology is built on our technology. We are actually the ultimate technology. Our minds are the thing that drives everything. So we've got to figure out how to dismantle the cultures of burnout and competition and replace them with collaboration, like Delia was talking about. Women always want to help women, and having that be the new network. Creating flexibility and well-being, including equitable pay, transparency in promotions, mentorship programs that we've talked about already, and not only accountability at the leadership level, but commitment. And commitment leads to accountability. This is why DEI is gone. There was never commitment behind DEI. It was response to an issue. And now that the issue isn't, in the news, DEI goes. But if we have committed leaders that are going to hold themselves and their companies accountable, like they are to their shareholders, at the leadership level, that prevent discrimination and bias and all of these cultures that lead to women not succeeding, I think then we really have a shot.
I totally agree. We had a fireside chat on day one, and you just echoed what one of our speakers said. For those who are getting rid of the AI project, they never had the commitment for it. They were just reacting or responding to it, and it's quite profound that we can even acknowledge it and we can see it. And here we are discussing it. And maybe just allow me to bring in the online audience who are watching us. I have a comment from S.H.E. He's saying, I've worked in tech startups on engineering side. Its biases having to prove ourselves to get the same recognition as men and being paid a lot less. We have Christopher. Shout out to Christopher, founder of GatherVerse. Thank you for bringing us together to express such profound insights. He says most technology platforms never cared about day and fair access for overall betterment for everyone. For them, it's about vanity metrics. They sit and watch summits like this without a single care. That is very strong, Christopher. There's Marie who says yes to collaboration being the new network. Thank you, ladies, and thank you for audience for engaging. And I want to slide to our last question, and I want to hear from everyone briefly. And I will start with you. Where do I start? I will start with you, Key Jones, all the way up. How can mentorship and sponsorship effectively help women advance in technology careers?
It can make a huge difference because we're always looking for that support team, especially from women, from someone that looks like us. We're always looking for it. So mentorship and sponsorship definitely plays a huge factor in helping us advance in our careers.
Thank you for the brief remarks. Now, please tell us what you think about this topic.
Yeah, mentorship empowers us to open doors and be our own advocates, but sponsorship is the gold standard. Somebody opens the door for you and sets the room for you. So you walk in powerfully and are listened to in a different way than if you have to walk into the room yourself and prove yourself. Sponsorship is really where it's at. And anyone who can open the door and sponsor someone is really going to help women move into the leadership roles and own them powerfully and make changes and be able to stay long term and not have to quit because they're fighting against a toxic culture.
You know, this leads me to a question, first of all. What is the difference between sponsorship and mentorship? I once read a book that there's a sponsor, there's one who sponsors you and there's one who mentors you. So if anyone can clearly define that for me and for any audience who is wondering what is the difference between sponsorship and mentorship, please go and tell us. Or Noi, would you like to tell us?
Yeah.
Or Melike?
From my perspective, mentorship, a mentor helps you navigate challenges. They've been there, you can talk it through with them, and they will help you get to a point where you can navigate through your own challenges. A sponsor is an advocate. A sponsor is somebody who is advocating on your behalf and is there when you're not there, speaking life into you, into what you can do, and letting others know this is who's coming. I'm behind this person, and they've got your back. They both have your back, but they have your back in a way when you're not in the room, they've got your back.
And
Thank
one
you for that.
thing that I can add over
Yeah,
here
yeah,
is
please.
that I guess mentorship is kind of like a long-term thing, but sponsorship is not. Most of the time I experience that one, and also mentorship means like expressing and sharing your experience with your mentor, with a mentor and mentee relationship between of it. So I guess I can add this once.
That is very
I would
profound.
like to add something, and it's also that sometimes your mentorship, it doesn't have to come from women. Like, I think we should be open not to just rely on this women in tech and all these other groups, because sometimes our allies as men, like say Christopher, has been really great, a great connection for me. I'm very grateful to him. And, if I isolate myself and only expect women to give me a space, then I think that we wouldn't be fair also. Like, women want to help women, but also men can be great allies and they can be your mentors and your sponsors.
We need more Christopher Lafayette.
I agree. Dr. Cleana, briefly tell us what you think about this, briefly.
Both mentors and sponsors allow for innovation and creative with whoever they're mentoring and sponsoring. So that's briefly what I would say. They both foster innovation.
Thank you. Arila, what's your parting shot?
I think Noi actually stated very clearly the difference, and I think both are very important. But in particular, sponsors. If you are in a company and if you want to break through the glass ceiling, you need a sponsor. A mentor, you can find it also outside and can help you in the same industry, but you need a sponsor to vouch for you, sponsor to help you advance in the career, to raise your salary, to get promoted, and all this. So I think it's very important. I do agree with Elizabeth 100% that there is no gender difference here. A mentor and sponsor can be basically a man as well. But the message for us here is, if we manage to break through the glass ceiling, we can be great sponsors as females, great sponsors for other women, and help them.
Wow, thank you. Delia, what's your brief remark?
Yes, I was just going to say that for me, you do not need to have a deep relationship with a sponsor. It could be someone who really cares about the inequities that are present within their company, and they want women to have an opportunity. I've seen many allies, sponsors just give people interviews because they had the credentials, but they weren't getting the interview. And so just to remember that sometimes you can ask someone to be an ally for you in a situation or in a job interview opportunity, And if they have the same values and recognize the inequities that exist, they will help and open the door for you. Mentorship, as people said, it's more a product of the individual barriers, mostly in your head, that you're facing and trying to untangle.
Wow, brilliant. Rebecca, close us off with your brief remark.
Yeah, I think both mentorship and sponsorship are almost like to be considered as well a little bit of a safety net for when that self-doubt creeps in, that imposter syndrome comes in, and you have that support network that you can rely on for someone to, you know, tell you, oh, you're not crazy, this is, you know, this is totally normal, and also just someone to kind of stand on the sidelines and cheer you on and make you feel a little bit more welcome in the space. It's fantastic.
Wow, ladies, we could have gone so far with this, but we only have much time. I enjoyed the time we spent together. Thank you for dropping your insights, your wisdom, and your beautiful time to join us today. We look forward to have you back again. And yeah, over to you, GatherVerse team. Our GatherVerse well.